Hello, this is Benny Bell with the Surpass Estate Group, and this is Real Tip, episode 5. Thank you all for taking the time to chime on in today. And today we're going to talk about for sale by owners. Now, we find ourselves in a heavily weighted seller's market. You may have heard at any given time the term seller's market versus buyer's market. Well, right now, it's just like any other business strategy or business circumstances. It's a seller's market because, one, there's a very high demand for real estate, especially here in California. However, there's a very limited amount of inventory available. So obviously that drives the prices up. That creates more opportunities for sellers to obviously sell their properties at the top of the market. They're receiving multiple offers. In some situations, they're getting buyers that are willing to pay a certain amount of cash above the appraised value. So what that looks like is buyers are paying the gap, covering the gap. So they're basically going in upside down just because of that high demand of inventory. So because of that, and because of the constant information out there that's readily available, especially on the internet, about the housing market and how fast it's going up and how strong it currently is right now, especially for sellers, we find that a lot of homeowners are, not taking advantage of the situation, but they're looking for the opportunity, obviously. So they're taking the opportunity to net the most money that they feel they could possibly make by selling the properties themselves. So we call them for sale by owners. And where a seller, instead of the agent, seller or the homeowner doesn't get into contract, doesn't sign a listing agreement, doesn't have an agent sell the property for them. They put it on Zillow or Redfin or whatever, a real estate portal that's out there that they feel is strong enough to sell their property. They take it upon themselves to do that and sell the property themselves. Now, my team, we actively have conversations. We actively reach out to sell by owners. One is because it's an opportunity to educate and also an opportunity to show a homeowner our value. Provide, let them know that it's not just the commission, it's the value that we provide, and that we have a dialed in successful system that's been continuously able to net our clients more money than selling them obviously on their own or other brokerages in the area. And if you're having a conversation with a realtor and they don't know what their numbers are, you need to have a conversation with us. We keep track of the market. We keep track of our numbers. So when we say that we're able to net you more money than you can with, selling your own on your own or with another broker, we mean that, and we can show you the numbers that show that. So getting into what a for sale by owner is, obviously, is a homeowner taking it upon themselves to sell the property themselves. And you hear the term all the time that, in this market, the home sells itself. In some situations, that's not really a true statement. Okay, so obviously, if you put it on, a Zillow, for instance, all you're doing is putting it on Zillow, and you're doing what most agents do anyways, is what's called the 3 Ps. And we have this conversation during our listing appointments is, they place a sign in the yard, they put the property on the MLS, and they pray someone sells it. Whereas, the homeowner, obviously they're putting their for sale sign, they may put a for sale sign in the yard. They're putting their property on Zillow or another real estate portal, and they're praying that the home sells itself. So it's the same tactic, whereas we provide much more value, and we have that conversation with those for sale by owners when we're sitting down in their kitchen or living room, discussing why they should have our team sell their property instead of themselves. So some of the hazards with, obviously dealing with a for sale by owner, or some of the hazards that a for sale by owner can come across are, obviously, the first thing is contracts and disclosures. So there are a number of different contracts and disclosures involved with the sale of real estate. And it is a reason why, because one, is making sure that the seller and the buyer are both protected in the transaction. And two, they're in place to avoid litigation. Here in California, you can get sued for walking down the street and looking at somebody wrong. I mean, it's essentially there to protect everybody that's involved in the transaction. So you definitely want to make sure that you're knowledgeable of those contracts, you're knowledgeable of the disclosures, and within those contracts, create opportunity in being able to negotiate the best deal for either the buyer or the seller. So being having that amount of knowledge and uh, well, just knowledge about the contract itself, understanding the ins and outs of the contract, understanding the parameters of where you can negotiate and what's negotiable is essential inside of a real estate transaction. So one, that could be a hazard, and two, it could be an opportunity to either gain leverage in the negotiations or leave thousands of dollars on the table because you're not knowledgeable of the contract, and you basically are at the whim of just whoever is more savvy, whoever is more educated about that contract, and then also knowledgeable about the market. Now, understanding what type of market that you are in is essential, and it changes. The real estate is cyclical. There's a lot of ebb and flow in the real estate market. Right now, where we are, with obviously with the impact of COVID, we are in an unprecedented market. We're in unprecedented times right now. So why not have someone who is knowledgeable about the market, knowing what the strategies are currently, knowing what the particular market strategies are to sell your property now? Why, that would be essential, to have on your team, and that's representing your best interest. So that is a hazard when you aren't knowledgeable, because one, it's another opportunity for someone to out negotiate you. Another situation where you can leave thousands of dollars on the table because you aren't knowledgeable about the particular market. And two, you open yourself up again for litigation because one, there are a number of new disclosures and new guidelines because of COVID that you have to adhere to. So there are a certain level of new restrictions, and that varies from county to county. So the local and also the local municipalities, they have they can be much stricter than the county guidelines, which then the county guidelines can be much stricter than the state guidelines. So being knowledgeable about the current market that you are in definitely gives you a step up in the negotiation process and in the transaction. Pricing, it's one of those things where, again, being knowledgeable about the market, being knowledgeable about what the properties are doing, what are they selling for, are properties getting multiple offers, are those offers then again buyers paying X amount of money over their appraised value? Are there situations where the appraised value is restricting the growth in the market? And we've seen that a lot during COVID, one, because of a lot of appraisers have, obviously, elected for the healthier, the safer way of appraising the property, and it was called desk appraisals. So they're actually not going out to the properties. They're assessing the value of the property based on what homes have sold, what comparable homes have sold in the market, and they're doing it from their desk. They're doing it in their office. They're not actually going out to see in person what upgrades that particular seller has done. So recognizing that limitation on the pricing on the properties, on what homes are selling for, recognizing that may be a concern coming up in the transaction when you accept an offer that, say, 50, 30, a couple $100,000 above the asking price. That particular situation may come up to where now you have the appraised value much lower than what you're in contract for. What do you do then? How do you negotiate that then? So pricing, is a huge strategy to get right. And if you're pricing the property right, you're setting yourself up to, one, not leave thousands of dollars on the table, but two, create a bidding war, creating a situation where you're getting multiple offers, where you have created that demand for that particular property, especially in comparison with other homes that are nearby that may be on the market or your competition. So understanding the pricing strategy, marketing, that's one of the things that another thing that we have dialed in is marketing, paying attention where the buyers are coming from. For sell by owners, they feel, and I would say, without having a general statement, a number of for sale by owners that I come across, they feel that they're tapped in to what the market is doing based on maybe they've sold 1 or 2 homes over the last 10, 15 years. Understanding where buyers are coming from, understanding how to get your property in front of the right buyer, understanding how buyers are actually buying homes and what they equate value to is essential. So having your marketing strategies down provides much more value to selling that property and netting that person, that homeowner, the most amount of money possible. So if you don't have a marketing strategy, if your only marketing strategy is just putting it on Zillow, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself to to a number of people who, one, your home may not be the first home on the first page. Your home may be pages down, so a buyer may not even get to your home. On Zillow or Redfin or some of these other real estate portals. Your property has to show well. It's majority of the buyers are looking on their cell phones, looking on their iPads, maybe looking on their computers at homes prior to even reaching out to a realtor. So understanding how those buyers are looking at properties, how they are assessing value, how are they finding their homes is essential, and making sure that when your home does show up in front of those potential buyers, it shows up extremely well, especially when they're comparing this house to this house. So understanding marketing and having a marketing strategy is essential. And that is another hazard that for sale by owners don't necessarily think about, and find themselves at the whim of just, again, putting the property on the market, putting a sign in the yard and praying someone comes by and buys the property. And then also the agent creates a buffer for the home buyer. It avoids that homeowner from being overly stressed about the whole transaction. It's one of those things where, buying and selling properties is, that sum of money is the most money that someone, majority of people they ever deal with in a transaction. So being that buffer between, a number of different buyers, a number of different people reaching out to them, whether they are potential buyers or whether they're just looky-loos, whether it's just somebody that's just calling around just to sell them something else that's not even interested in buying their house. So that agent is that buffer, and they're able to, one, not necessarily just to take all these phone calls off the homeowner's plate, but two, being able to vet these buyers, being able to have a conversation with that buyer's agent or that buyer to find out if they are a willing and able buyer. Having a conversation about, whether you do have cash or not to take care of the gap. If you are putting an offer in way above asking, what is your loan look like? What is your what are you paying cash? Are you having a conversation with the lender? So these are some of the questions and some of the steps that we take when we do vet buyers, just to find out if they are again willing and able and are in a position to where if we are getting multiple offers, is this someone that can still be at the table? Is this someone that can still be competitive in putting an offer in, or should we just put this particular offer at the bottom of the plate, bottom of the table, because it's not as strong as, say, someone who does have the cash to cover in a multiple offer situation? So these are real life questions. These are real life scenarios, real life situations that I've had with for sale by owners who did not, didn't have the knowledge or the foresight to have these conversations or understand the market. So, again, these are a few hazards with for sale by owners. And again, this is why it's valuable to make sure that you align yourself up with a real estate team that is taking care of your interests and is concerned about putting your interests up front and has the same value and morals that you want in your agent, and two, someone that you could trust, someone that you feel that is going to, like I said, look out for your best interest and is either going to, one, as representing the buyer, get you into that property for as less as possible, and two, representing the seller in this situation, netting you the most amount of money possible. So again, this is Benny Bell with Surpass Estate Group, and this is Real Tip. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Our page, Surpass LLC, Surpass Estate Group, is on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. hit the like button, subscribe, give us some comments. Let us know if there are other conversations, other questions that you have around real estate. We'll continue to provide you with more and more information around real estate overall. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, happy new year. This is the last show of 2020. Looking forward to many more in 2021. So please, like I said, leave those comments. Let us know what you would like to hear and like to talk about 2021 in the real estate housing market. Everyone take care, be safe, stay healthy. Love you.